Yes, you know?
Right. Well, I mean, we need more people like you and me out there spreading the message. And I think that you definitely should have a podcast, because I think there's definitely a need for you to,
Yeah, I
you know,
have it on my list. Yeah.
I've thought about interviewing other people in recovery that I know. And there's some that are just, I mean, their story's so gnarly, and their climb back to life is amazing. But there's also that, anonymity piece and all of that stuff. So I'm cautious about it. But I think it's definitely needed. I think more people are in pain out there than we know.
Yeah. And, we didn't get into that, but that's really why I'm doing what I'm doing. It wasn't just so that I could be this entrepreneur. It was because back here in New Hampshire, we've got crushed by the fentanyl overdose death rate, and just, it's real. It hits home. Like I'm active in recovery. So like when I go and my best friend loses his sponsee to an overdose, and it happens more than once, it's like, holy crap, like this is no joke. And so for me to keep my recovery private is selfish. And that's how I look at it. And so I need to get my story out there, because someone's not going to die because of it. And I've had people tell me who are not in recovery that that's true, that statement. By not sharing my story, it's not like I'm breaking anonymity. It's like I'm just sharing my recovery story. And so there's nothing wrong with that. And I think there's a shift in consciousness kind of happening too, that where people are starting to realize that, and they're coming out more. That's why like this time that we're living in, I think, is calling for it. Because like you, I've been in recovery a long time, and this wasn't happening 3 years ago, 4 years. Like, I feel like people are coming out now in the last 2 years, and they're really like, hey, and they're building platforms in recovery, and they're not out to make money on recovery. What they're doing is they're looking to add value. And by adding value, that brings them people who want to work with them. And so I'm super grateful that just be living in this time to be able to do this. And I think by having this podcast here and more people having podcasts, that more people are going to start to come out and share their story, because our stories are only going to touch so many people. It's everyone else's story that's going to reach a whole bunch of the masses of people.
Yeah. And given the addiction in this country, I don't think it's going to get better before it gets worse.
Unquestionable. Yeah. No doubt that we're not even close to the tipping point of where this is going. And that's for me is like motivation to like, when I say, oh, I don't want to write today, I don't want to do this today. It's like, no, it's not about me. I got to get this done so that someone can hear it. And, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I appreciate you saying that. It's not about anonymity. It's about just sharing your story. So it's not to be withholding, really.
Yeah, because it's not like, yeah.
I think as in early sobriety, I know for me, it was more about shame. I hadn't yet passed that point of not being ashamed of behaviors and things that I had done. I hadn't done enough work, I guess, to be able to openly and outwardly just say what there was to say. But looking back, I do see it as kind of a self-centered withholding kind of thing. I don't know.
I love how you just said that. That's exactly why I didn't come out. It wasn't even because of anonymity. It was because of shame. Like, I still didn't feel good in my own skin a lot of times. So I felt like coming out would be like, nah, this is not a good idea. And then 2.5 years ago is when I started to do the miracle morning. I started to take cold showers. I started to go to events. I started to surround myself with entrepreneurs. And that's when everything changed, because I'd have people asking me, oh, well, what do you do? And I was like, well, I'll tell you where I worked. I work at Verizon, but what I'm building is, and when I tell them that, they'd be like, wow, that is needed. You have to do that. And no one ever said to me, oh, cool, people are already doing that. Good for you. And no, they were like, oh, please build that. Please bring that out. And I was like, really? I'm like, oh.
Wow.
Oh, big thunderstorm's coming.
Oh, is that thunder?
That was a thunderbolt. Sounds like a gunshot. I
know. It scared me. I thought something fell on you.
Wow. That was amazing. Yeah, there's a thunderstorm rolling in right now, but
Hey, at least you
Oh,
got weather. We don't have much weather out here. It's the same. It's sunny and
oh my God, there's so much crazy weather here.
well,
Insane.
no, I really, yeah, I love that. I love that conversation. And you know, it's funny because a couple of years ago, I was taking a leadership course, and one of the assignments was to go interview people in your life, either who had lost 100 pounds and kept it off, or had been married for more than 50 years, or who were self-made millionaires, and start asking them these questions. So I started asking my dad. He's a very successful businessman, and I just said, you know, how did you get so successful? And he said, I looked for a niche that no one else was filling, and I filled it. And then when I filled that one, I looked for another one.
Yep.
And that's how it works, right?
Yep. 100%.
And
That's
that was the conversation that inspired me to go into my own business and do what I do, which is wonderful. And it is a conversation. When you have it with other people, they get lit up by what you're doing.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the motivation. I mean, that's why I haven't stopped. And that's why I've drained almost all my money, because I know I need to build this and make it go all in and make it work because of that. You know, I talk to people who are not in recovery all the time, and I have calls lined up in my phone of people not in recovery. They just want to talk to me to inspire them to make the leap. I talk to people on a weekly basis that are like that. And it's, you know, I take the time. I don't, you know, I'm not charging them money. I'm just telling them, I'm just giving them permission. Me, the
Right.
person who had the felonies and the drug addiction, and I don't even have a 6-figure business right now. I don't have any of that. And they're talking to me, and some of them are massively successful people in real estate and different areas. And they're asking me, well, you know, should I write this article and post it and write my first book? And I'm like, yeah, you should. And it's really funny. And the reason why is because we're going for it. And that energy is infectious, and people want to be around it. And that's who I surround myself with now. Is like, I just keep people who can keep me in that energy, and people who bring me out of the energy, I tend to avoid them. So
Yeah, it's important to be around people who share your vision.
yeah, absolutely.
It makes a huge difference. Well, it's been a pleasure, and I hope we have a chance to chat again soon. And I wish you
Absolutely.
all the success in the world. We obviously need you.
Yeah. Thank you, Maggie. I appreciate that. And maybe when I'm out, and it's where in California are you?
San Diego.
Oh, San Diego. Yeah, I've been there. So maybe I'll come out and check out your place and do some
Oh,
meditation.
please do. I have a guest house in the middle of the orchard, and the house is full of flowers. It's beautiful here.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would love to have you. You're always welcome.
Okay. Thank you. I might
All
take
right.
it from that.
Yeah, please do. All right, dear. Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right,
Have
take
a great
care.
night.
Bye.
Bye.